Why, hi. Welcome to Christi's Couch. I'm so excited. Okay, my name is Christi Lukasiak, and welcome to my couch. Okay, this has been a long time coming. I have been dying to do a podcast for quite some time because, first of all, I'm obsessed with podcasts, which we can totally talk about the ones that are my favorite. But second of all, I feel like it's been my life goal, maybe since I was a little kid, to do something that involved a microphone. And since I'm totally tone deaf, absolutely, completely tone deaf, I couldn't match pitch if my life depended on it. My only option is a podcast. So here I am, and my inner 5-year-old is screaming because this was the kid who used to go to bingo with her grandma. That's me. I hate when people talk about themselves in third person, and here I go. But I used to go to bingo with my grandma and her sister, who was my great Aunt Teeny. And I would literally sit in the bingo hall. I think it was a volunteer fire department. Wasn't that where all bingos were back in the day? But anyway, or a church, right? But I would sit in the volunteer fire department hall and watch the caller on the microphone. And I think my 5-year-old brain would invent different ways that I could go up and steal the microphone just so I had a whole room of rapt attention. And here I sit. So life has come full circle. And look, I obviously have experience with microphones, but not like this. My experience with microphones came in a little bit different of a way. So, meaning that I was used to being mic'd on a TV show because that's probably where you know me from. If you maybe back in the day, your inner 12-year-old might have watched. But yes, I am one of the original dance moms. If you watch that show, it was a lot. And I was probably best known as Chloe's mom or the crazy woman who was constantly screaming. I mean, not the dance teacher who was constantly screaming, but the blonde who was constantly screaming because I was always holding my own and always fighting the fight and always screaming. And there may or may not have been a street fight or two, there was a lot of fighting. I was on the show for over 120 episodes, I think. And so that's a lot of yelling. But I promise not to yell. I promise not to scream. However, I do think I was kind of funny on the show at times, so maybe I can bring some of that funny to this podcast because, look, this podcast is going to be all about how we can improve our lives because isn't that kind of the goal, especially in the year 2020? I mean, what kind of a mindfuck is 2020, right? I mean, if you would have said to us last year that this is where we would be sitting in December of 2020, I think all of us would have said, you're insane. That's a movie. But here we are. And just in light of all of that, I really wanted this podcast to be something that could bring some light and happiness to people's lives, maybe teach you a tip or trick or two to help improve those lives. And I am the first to say I could use a ton of help because I make mistakes and I'm not afraid to make them. I'm not afraid to admit them. I'm not afraid to call myself out. And I think that life is a fun journey. And I am fortunate enough that I get to meet some really interesting people and experts and celebrities. And I hope that I'm able to bring those people into your world and maybe offer you something that you can help to improve your life. And if it's not going to be life-changing, maybe I can make you laugh or maybe you can commiserate with me because, look, there's a lot of nonsense that happens and I will share it all. So get comfy. We're definitely going to go on a little bit of a journey. And we're going to start right off the top with somebody I am so excited to talk to. But you know what? Before that, I think it's important that I mention, oh God, I'm a mom and I talk about my kids often, but I didn't even introduce them. See, this is all about me because it's been all about them for so long. But yes, on the show, I am Chloe's mom and I still have Chloe. It's not like she went away. She wasn't just for TV, but Chloe is now 19. So if you were a Dance Moms fan and you watch Chloe, that little bitty girl who was like, when I dance, I think it should be about me. And when Maddie dances, it should be about her. That little tiny voice. Well, now she's 19. She lives in California. She goes to Pepperdine University in Malibu. I mean, the life, right? She is a sophomore, but she doesn't just live on campus. She has an apartment out in Los Angeles, and she's living her best life. And she is torturing me to death because I think all 19-year-olds are slight nightmares for their parents, right? Like Chloe's a great kid and she's very sweet, but don't let her fool you. She definitely has a dark side. And unfortunately, usually I'm the one on the receiving end of that dark side, because who do you hate more when you're 19? Your mother. So it's me. I'm public enemy number one, because I tell her all the time, look, your frontal lobe isn't fully developed. You still need some guidance. And she looks at me and she goes, I'm an adult. Kind of. You're an adult, like according to the law, but you still need a little bit of help from your mom. But whatever. I guess you have to make mistakes and learn. I just can't pay attention because I'm a super control freak and it makes me crazy. But I will always obviously have a close relationship with Chloe. This has just been, growing pains for both of us. So she's coming home very soon for college break, holiday break. We'll see. I'm sure it will be great and fun, but it's been a year. And then I also have Clara, and Clara is my baby, but she's 11 and in 6th grade, and 6th grade is a whole thing. Do you guys remember 6th grade? 6th grade is terrible, especially if you're a mom. I guess I'm like at the worst age for both my kids. 19 is terrible and 6th grade is terrible, because in 6th grade, there are a lot of rules that I have not been made aware, and I break them a lot. Like, not allowed to make eye contact on campus at school because somebody might know we're related. Like, not allowed to speak to them when they get in the car because somebody could see your lips move and then they would really know that you're related. I think my TikTok is the thing that makes Clara most embarrassed, because look, I have a TikTok. Come on, it's kind of fun. And she gets in the car mortified on the daily that somebody saw my TikTok because I came up on their For You page. So next time you think your mother's embarrassing, be grateful that I'm not your mom. But anyway, so those are my kids. I talk about them a lot. I'm married to Mark. I've been married to him for 20 years. He's sort of like the behind the scenes guy. He doesn't like a lot of attention. But, I talk about him because clearly he's been a major part of my life for a long time, and the girls. But anyway, that's enough about my family. I'm sure you don't care, but we're going to get into my first guest today, which I am so excited to talk to, because I truly believe that there are people in this world who have special gifts that can help the rest of us. And even if you don't completely believe in psychics or mediums or people like that, I think that there still is something to be said about the wisdom and the opinions and the advice that they have to offer that we can apply to our lives, whether or not like you believe, and I'm using air quotes there, in what they're doing, because I just think a lot of them are positive and they're trying to help you figure out ways to balance your life. And that is exactly what Mystic Michaela is going to do today. So Mystic Michaela is my very first guest on Christi's Couch. So I'm thrilled to talk to her. And she is actually a 4th generation psychic medium. Which I have a lot of questions about. I need to know what it's like to grow up with a mom as a psychic. Like, can you get away with anything? I don't think so. But she specializes in auras. And if you don't know what an aura is, we're going to talk about it. And before I had this call with her, I sent in photos of my family because I had questions. But I also have a few famous people I want to ask about their auras. So I'm really excited to speak to her, because one of her philosophies is that she really tries to guide people to live their most authentic lives and fulfill like whatever their soul's purpose is. And I'm really curious to hear what that means. And since I said that this podcast is going to take us on a journey, a life journey to improve ourselves, I really think it's important that we start by looking at where we are now, and we start with ourselves, because you can't improve yourself unless you're willing to look inward. So I'm really excited to talk to Mystic Michaela. I know that she has some amazing things that she does on her social media for people who follow along. And so I will totally encourage each of you to follow her on Instagram, and it's at Mystic Michaela. And then she has the Know Your Aura podcast, it's called the Know Your Aura Pod. It's a podcast. And I am just so excited to bring her to our audience. So get ready, because she's coming to join me on the couch. Let's meet Mystic Michaela. Okay, well, I am so excited to be talking to and welcoming Mystic Michaela. Hello, Michaela.
Oh my gosh, Christi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
Well, this is really my inaugural or my premiere debut, whatever you want to call it, episode. And I am so excited to be starting off with a bang because I think you are fascinating and I can't wait to talk to you.
Thank you. I think it's really cool because it's interesting when a lot of the work I do ends up talking about people in undergoing transitions or new things in their life or beginning new chapters. So I feel like this fits.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. There's so much. Oh, well, I'm really excited to hear all of that because I feel like my entire life is a new chapter right now. I don't know if the whole world feels that way with, 2020 and COVID and, global pandemics, but
oh my God.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot to say about it. But before we get into any of that, I just wanted to start off by asking you a little bit about your background because I think it's really fascinating that you are a fourth generation. Do you call yourself, what is your family, like, are you all mystics or do you read auras? Like, what do you call your family gifts?
We're all psychic mediums.
Okay.
I also have the added aura reader thing going on, which is different than the other members of my family. But yeah, my mom and her brother are both like practicing psychic mediums, and it went up my maternal line, and it was very normal growing up.
Okay.
So when people ask me like, "Hey, when did you discover your gift?" It's not like you discover that you have a gift. You discover that other people don't.
Right.
So it's like the difference. Yeah.
I can see that because I feel like, if it's just something that is in your home and you're talking about and your family knows, it's just a given. And then you're like, wait a minute, not everyone thinks this way.
Right. And you're a kid and you're growing up and you're like, oh, don't talk about that because it's going to make you feel different or single you out. And that's kind of when you realize, oh, wait a second.
Sure.
This is different. Mm-hmm.
So that leads me to this question. So if you grew up in a household that everyone had this gift, did you get away with anything?
No. It's interesting. Okay, so, and I think all of us who are moms,
yes, we all have
know
a
our
gift.
Children. Yeah, we all have I know you're up to something, or that one friend of yours, or like I told you that was going to happen. Like we all have that mother's intuition. My gift works kind of similarly though to my mother's, is that I can't really read my kids. So when I talk about like future or things like that, it's hard for me to read my children the way I can. It's easier for me to read strangers. So if I know you really well, it's hard for me to read you. It's easier for me to read you if I don't know you at all. But my mom was always really good at reading my friends. So she wouldn't know per se if I was up to something, but she definitely would be like, she would be able to read my friends like the front page paper.
Oh
like, hey,
God.
wait a second. Where are you guys going? What's going on? I know I don't like her boyfriend or like whatever. And that's how she kind of circumnavigated
That's really
not being able to
interesting.
read me thing. Yeah, not that I was a troublemaker, but I think I would pick friends that were. So that was always a trip.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think we always go kind of with those rebel friends because you're feeling out who you are for sure. But that's really interesting that you can't read your children. I wonder if it's almost like it's better for you not to be able to.
Absolutely. I feel right now they're little. I have an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old. So, but even with my 11-year-old, you don't want to know everything that, as she gets older, I want her to have her privacy and things like that. I think honestly, and I think we all can understand, I care too much.
Yeah.
So I could mess up reading her with my own thoughts or programming or my own ego or whatever my own issues are, and they get meshed up with my parenting. So that's where it gets confusing.
That's really, I would see that could be a problem. And also, like you said, your own hopes and dreams, I'm sure you're like projecting onto them and you do want them to, of course. I mean, my God, I do that and I don't have a gift. I'm just an overbearing mother who is a control freak. So my 19-year-old is always like, I'm going to turn off my location services so you have no idea where I am. And I'm like, are you kidding? I have other ways.
So funny. But at least you self-profess it, which I think makes the dysfunction less because just so many people have, we're all crazy and then we have children, and the ones that can tell us that we're crazy and then we're like, yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. Like, I think that's a healthier bond than the ones that are like, you are a liar. Like, at least you're like, yes, I am aware. I am controlling. I get it. It's okay.
And look, I mean, I had the whole world watching me be a super psycho control mom. So it's not a big secret. I know.
Oh my gosh.
But I think 19-year-olds are just a test no matter what. It's part of the fiber of being 19.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
But you're yellow. Well, your aura is yellow too. So
okay.
I think yellow mothers tend to be a little bit more on top of it in the organizational department than, or, planning for the future or think ahead and kind of reminding our children to do those things than other colored mothers.
Okay. What does a yellow mother mean? So I have so many questions about auras. Okay. So tell me first. So when you look at someone, I'm assuming the way I envision it, and tell me if I'm wrong, it's almost like you kind of have like a glow around you, sort of like if you were backlit kind of, for lack of a better comparison. Is that sort of what it's like? Like
that's exactly what it's like.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. It's just, and even if you can't see the colors, a lot of people don't even realize they're reading auras because it's just the energy around a person.
Okay.
And
So
we all have the ability to pick that up.
And so some of us are just tuned in and others are blocked out, I'm assuming.
Totally.
Okay. Kind of like how some people say, like, I feel a ghost or whatever, some people are tuned in. That makes sense. Yeah. So how many colors are how many different aura colors, I guess, are there?
There's 5 main aura colors: yellow, blue, purple, green, and red.
Okay.
But you have a combination of 2. Usually people have a combination of 2.
Okay.
And the combination itself, I've never seen 2 of the same aura colors. It's like an energy signature that everyone's unique, or an energy fingerprint or whatever. So you can be blue and yellow and somebody else can be blue and yellow, but you're different because of your life or the way that you think or your intentions or how you were raised or things like that. But there's basic energy vibes that go with the combinations and the colors that we can all pick up.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so most people have 2 colors, and is one like more of a dominant color and one's less, or is it pretty equal, or does it vary?
It varies. Sometimes one's more dominant naturally. Sometimes people are more naturally balanced. Sometimes it's just like a lot of one color and like a speckling of another. It's interesting because like when I read an aura, I always start by describing it.
Okay.
And it gets all metaphorical to like what's going on in someone's life. So I'll say, for example, okay, you have like way too much of this color, but you're stepping on this color. And then whatever that color represents, I'll see, okay, you're not using your voice, or you're not self-advocating, or or I feel like there's a relationship issue, like stuff like that. And it's always in correlation to like how the aura, your energy is sitting on you. It truly does like metaphorically replicate what's going on in your life. And my whole point with it, truly, and you don't have to like see colors to understand the point. It's just to live authentically. Like a lot of our energy and time we spend trying to fit in or be something that everyone else can understand so we don't feel left out or isolated. And that truly just creates an inauthentic life. And then that's what leads to a lot of unhappiness.
I mean, that makes sense. Totally. Like it really does. And I do think that everybody tries to fit in or, not break the mold or, because you want to be accepted. So
absolutely.
I guess then do auras change throughout people's lives, or are you basically like the same and then different things change around you or how you react to it?
You're basically, so I don't really see auras so great until somebody's around 3 years old.
Oh,
then
cool.
They start to form. But you've had a 3-year-old. You've had 3-year-olds.
Sure.
Like that's like the age when it's like, whoa, okay.
Yes.
Like you're crazy or like whatever they are. And that's when their aura starts to kind of take hold. And that is usually whatever colors you have, they stick with you the rest of your life. But they can get, that's why when I do readings, especially now, a lot of phone readings, I ask for photos, like a photo of you as a child and a photo of you, maybe a few years ago and then now. It changes and and I can tell like, okay, you were going through this at this time or something, because your aura will shift and change and move and be out of balance or back in balance or whatever as you go on through life. So it does change, but not the colors, more like like where it's placed.
Okay. So where it's placed is important too. This is also fascinating to me. Okay. Yeah. Well, I have a lot of other questions, but I think the easiest way is maybe to start with me and then I can ask kind of the other questions as we go along, because again, when I found out that I got to interview you, I had a list a mile long, because this is so in my wheelhouse of things that I'm interested in and things that I truly believe in, because I do think everything is a balance. I think energy is out there. And I think that everything has a push-pull in the world. And I believe in that type of thing, because I think we've all seen that. Whether we realize it or not, we've seen those examples throughout our lives. So this is, like I said, something I was really excited to do. All right.
Yeah, you're so right. Like we definitely, however we're thinking or acting or reacting, we are unwittingly or unconsciously creating the reality around us to mirror that. So the more control you have, or at least awareness, the more you can control the reality you're creating. So it's totally connected. But okay, so you sent me your photos, which is so this is actually, you sent me like a really honest selfie. You know what I mean? Like, so I can tell. No, you look gorgeous, but I can tell when you took it, you were just like, this is me. Like, very... Do it.
I wasn't. Yeah, that's funny, because I literally sat down and last night and I took that picture and I was like, well, I mean, it's fine. It's like, it's fine. It wasn't, I posed. I'm not posting it anywhere. I was like, this is who I am.
And I feel it. It's very like honest and raw. And then I get all excited because I have to compare it to like when you run Dance Moms or whatever a little bit. Just the evolution of Christi.
Oh, so anyway, tell me. That's interesting. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh my gosh. So let's start with now. So you're yellow and purple. Now.
Okay.
As a yellow, you are... You
sassy.
feel like you want to do... What's that?
I said sassy. Am I sassy?
Oh, yeah. You're very yellows are very direct and honest and like straightforward, and like you like the truth. And I feel like you can handle a bad mood or a good mood, just you can't handle a fake mood. So that's like, I feel like I get this so hooked up to your upbringing, where I do get, you're a scrapper, like you're a survivor, like you needed stability more than anything else, I get. And as a yellow, I feel like sometimes you'll lean on that a lot because you want control over an environment that I feel like can be triggering if it's out of control. Now, I will say that in your life, you've let a lot of that go right now. But when I look at you in your older photos from like when you were on the show and stuff like that, you were projecting so much yellow. And I feel like it was just this need to just make sure everything was as stable and I don't know, controlled as possible, which is funny because that's probably when your life was the least like that.
Yeah.
And which is how it works. And I get your purple right now. It's very, so purple is intuitive, creative, good energy readers, spontaneous, very just fun, and kind of like has the ability I get from you, like you can see something going on and you can totally read the situation and you can make sure you don't get caught up in it. And I feel like you've worked on that. But it's, again, with you, like Christi from the past pictures, I see like there was more of a fear of that purple or whatever.
Okay.
Because, and I don't know how personal you want me to get.
No, it's fine.
It's okay.
Like, please, I'm very open about my life and my situation and how I am. I mean, I'm honest about things. That's okay.
Yeah, you are.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just get that you didn't want so sometimes purple can be, we have a society that purple shames a lot. Like don't want too much attention or don't, purple's like attention. They like the spotlight. They like to create, they like to inspire people and all that. And I feel like you used to push that away more. And because of that, it would come out erratically or would come out in ways that maybe were more destructive than you wanted them to be. And now I see it being just brought out, and it's scary because I get there's still that yellow part of you that's like, okay, I'm a bit of perfectionist. Don't make a mistake. How do I do this? How do I control it? But that purple energy can't be controlled, and that's the fun of it. Like it's gonna burst out. It's gonna do different things. It's gonna make mistakes or do or make amazing discoveries from just being allowed to be free. I see you toying with that way more now because your purple is like, it looks like lava, like it's like flowing all good through you, but it's hot and it's like really bright. and your yellow's like there and it's holding its own, but it's not trying to control it. And I feel like this is like the first time that you're really allowing yourself to sit with who you are, and whatever comes up with it, you'll deal with it. Just because I get from the past, unpredictability was something that you were triggered by, and you would try to control it in yourself. And now you're realizing unpredictability can be safe. It can be good. I'm in a safe place. I can have room to be unpredictable. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wait. Okay. So just to back up for a minute, literally everything you said, I was sitting here nodding with my mouth open because I was like, yes, I am that. Yes, I am that. Yes, I am that. And I do think that there was a lot of truth what you said about dance moms, because I was in an environment that I never had any control over, and I tried to be hyper, I don't know what the word is, but like I tried to control the situation because I was so out of control and I had literally no stability there. So that's so interesting. And I love the purple thing. And that is true. I mean, I will be the first to say, I like attention. I like this. Like, I like to be the center of attention. I love a microphone, all of that. So it's like, that's really interesting. And I have felt a little bit more like I'm stepping into really who I am. I don't know if it's because I'm older now and I'm just sort of comfortable with whatever. But that's so very interesting. So
you have like a real survivor thing going on too. Like, I feel like I just get, we could drop you anywhere. You'd figure it out. Like, you just have like a really good, I think you trust yourself. I think you trust your gut a lot.
I do trust my gut. And it's interesting because you said as a child, I had no stability. I actually didn't. And I talked to a lot of different sororities all over the country. I do a presentation and I talk about my childhood, and I had literally no stability. I mean, there was a lot of, whatever as a child growing up. I don't want to get in too deep on that, but I was tossed around between my parents and my stepdad and my grandparents so much that I was in 14 different schools before high school. So I didn't have stability. I never knew what was coming, and I like craved that. Just like I tried to control things because I never knew. So weird. That's so weird. Okay. Wow. So
so the purple can be like really, and again, without getting too deep, I'm sure if I saw some pictures of some of your family members that weren't super,
they might be black. I'm just saying, like a black aura. Some of
honestly,
them.
one of them might be purple, and then and you seeing that in you can be like, oh my god, but it's not the same thing, So it's interesting how we play these things out as adults, and find comfort and resolution with them, and I feel like that's what you're doing now. So, or you've been doing it for a while, but this podcast feels like an expression of that, which is really
agree.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so is there a rare, I want to get back to balance in a moment, because I know that one of the things you work on with people is achieving balance, which I think is so important in everyone's life. And it fits right into like what this podcast theme and journey is. But is there, so you said there's 5 colors, but is there a color that's kind of more rare than others that you don't see very often? Or is it just a blend?
So there are, actually, you gave me pictures of your kids.
Okay.
Too.
Well, I want to know about my kids. I mean, you don't have to get that in depth, but I'm just curious to hear.
Chloe's one of the rare colors. She's turquoise. And you're like, I knew that.
Well,
like,
it's because
seriously,
every time Chloe does anything with anybody who is in this realm, I mean, I've had her palms read, just different things like as she's grown up, and she's always an old soul. She has a ghost line. Like, she has a lot of rare. She's very rare in anyone who's kind of, who has psychic abilities. Everyone always tells me that about her. So go on. So she's turquoise.
Because I told you, but when we were prepping for the call, we were just like saying hi to each other. I was like, I didn't watch Dance Moms because like it kind of stressed me out. But
same.
But I remember Chloe's the only one, honestly, that stands out to me from my memories of that show whenever it started, because she's turquoise.
Interesting.
And
okay.
I remember just being really upset because
she got picked on and she was
she's
turquoise.
a deep empath. She's, I feel like she's a strong person, but she's turquoise, and turquoise people are very rare. And I look at her now, you know, because you sent me a recent picture of her, and she's strengthened her boundaries and she's fine, you know. But as a kid, I just get such pure light, like so pure. And turquoises have the least amount of boundaries. So I feel like thankfully she had you as a mother, because what you did for her was, I will be your boundary. And I feel like that's what you knew she needed, and that's what your voice was for her, and your physical presence and everything else that you did for her in life. Like, you probably picked up, like, okay, I will be her boundary. Like, you knew what she wanted but maybe couldn't say, or things like that. And but yeah, old soul, like very absorbent of people's energy, and extremely able, but I feel like she's aware because you help her so much, and she's used to articulating herself and whatnot now. If she's not careful, she can get kind of like sucked in, I feel like, to people who are just stronger than her, and not stronger in a good way, just I don't know, bigger vibes, or just more of you know, like louder presences.
Well,
she's a power. Oh my God,
like, I can overrule her. I mean, it's true. Yeah. So sometimes I have to back up and like let her do it. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. See, I am a power person.
It's true. That's her thing. So, anyways, when you said, I'm like, oh my gosh, because her daughter is a turquoise, and turquoises are just so fascinating to me. I often say they're kind of like mirrors. You know, a mirror's power is to reflect back whoever the looker is in that. But they aren't the person that they're reflecting. They are the thing that reflects. That's what I get with Chloe. And like, when her dancing and her just artistry and who she is, she can kind of pick up the vibe and reflect it back to us, which is like a really special gift.
Oh, she'll love this. She will absolutely love to hear all of this. Oh gosh. Okay, so that's funny that I asked that question in Chloe's turquoise. Of course, I knew she was going to be something like super rare and like special, because that's just who she is. Well, so I have to just ask quickly, because she'll be very upset if I don't. But Clara, my little one.
So Clara is yellow blue. She, to me, feels like little mommy. I feel like there's definitely a part of her that's like, she's coming in, she's telling you what to do, she's telling daddy what to do.
Amen.
She's just, let's do this. But she's got such a good head on her shoulders that I feel like it's like, okay, let Clara do Clara. Because she feels like she's on top of things, and she's got a good head on her shoulders and good intentions. And she just feels smart that way. But she definitely... two yellows in the house is kind of funny, because you're yellow and she's yellow. So I'm sure you guys can butt heads sometimes about the process of things.
Yes. Well, my husband always says, how does it feel to raise yourself, when I am arguing with her? That is the line that we go to here, because she does feel very, very similar, but a little different.
She feels very motherly towards you too, which I like parental almost.
Yes.
So I get that.
All of this is very accurate. I'm always mothered.
She feels like she tells you, don't wear that, or don't do that,
yes.
or don't say that.
Yes, my TikTok is very offensive. Can you please stop posting? People see you on my For You page. Stop that. Why can't you be normal? All of the above.
That is, she's gonna put you to bed. I feel like she has like opinions about what's in the kitchen, like all, like and she's got like a 40-year-old woman vibe though, like in her child body.
Yes.
I love her energy. She just feels like she's somebody I would ask for advice, and she's like way younger. So like, I think that's great.
Nailed both of my kids 100%, because people, like, she is that way. It's so odd. So again, I have like these two old souls, but in different ways.
Yes.
Different ways.
Yeah. Clara feels very practical.
My husband? No kidding.
Okay.
Yeah.
He is green.
What does that mean? Does it mean like I'm respectable and very quiet and I have rules?
All that. Yeah.
Yep.
They're like, I feel like he's an on and off switch. So he can literally turn you all off somehow.
Yeah.
And turn back on when he needs to. He is blue too. Blue's like empath. So he does like, you know, he's a family man. He loves you all. He feels other people's feelings. I feel like with him, he just wants to stay out of it. Like, I get there's just this need for peace and quiet and just to kind of be just left alone in some sort of just everybody's happy, he's happy, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Green people are creatures of habit. They're a little methodical.
Yep.
They can be a little snobby about the weirdest things. Like when I look at your husband, he feels like he can be very particular about some things, but not give too cares about
shits
like other
about
things.
something. You can swear on here.
Yeah.
Like I can
swear. I didn't know.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. Like, please, if anybody's listening to this and they know me, yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
All right, good.
there. It's like I feel like you were hiding in my house watching all of us. But that's so. I mean, that to me, because you don't know us, you've never met my family, and literally you have described each of us to a T. So I can tell you with all certainty and 100%, like, I believe that you have that ability just because you've described everyone in my family without meeting us. So, okay, I know this is going to be a big question that everybody's going to have because they're all going to want to be read, like, how do I get read? So, obviously, I know that you do a lot of personal readings, which, I mean, please tell us if somebody wants to come read. And I'm not done. I have a few other questions for you, but I know that people are going to be like, how do I do this? So how can people find you or be
I have
read?
a wait list. I have a wait list right now on mysticmichaela.com for readings, but then I do, I'm trying to get up to twice a month, but right now once a month I do like pop-up events. So like Aura Workshop 101 and little things like that where I can do a bunch of people at once. And
I love that.
If you go, and on my Instagram at Mystic Michaela, I'll do aura readings here and there, little giveaways and stuff.
Oh, that's
like that.
cool. Okay. So definitely follow you so that if you're doing one, they'll be notified. Like can you turn on notifications on Instagram? I don't think you turn on notifications, but I think that if you just, they change it constantly. And like social media is my business. And I'm always like, I don't know. But I think if they're just looking actively, they'll be able to see you and you'll start to pop up more at the top of their feed. But that's really cool.
I try to do fun things with it so you can figure it out yourself. It's really just about insight and self-awareness and and living, not shaming yourself for like what you want. Yeah.
Okay. So then it comes back to, so I love that. And we will talk about that again in case people aren't able to write it down right now. We'll come back to it. But so people definitely can work with you. I love the pop-ups, but more importantly, I loved what you said on your website that you really try to help people achieve balance, because if you're out of balance, I feel like your whole world is out of whack. So what are some of those things that people can do? Or is it specific to what is happening in their life?
I think just because I do all the readings I do, and again, it's not me when I do it. I channel spirit. It's a higher power. I really just try to serve spirit. And the thing is like whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Your higher power, God, whatever word you give to that.
I mean, there's lots of different things that people say. Sure.
Whatever people are comfortable with saying. We're here. I really truly feel like we're here for a purpose, and there's so many distractions and there's so many things that get us off our soul path, the thing that we came here to do. We have objectives, and when you're completing your objectives or when you're on the path to completing your objectives, you feel peace and you feel joy and you feel aligned. When you're not on that path, you feel anxious, you feel numb, you feel angry, you feel confrontational. You just
so basically me circa 2011 on Dance Moms. If you feel like I
that
felt
picture
that's
from
wrong.
Dance Moms. I think we all have one of those photos in the past,
Oh, I have
we're just
so many. And all of mine, I'm wearing a cold shoulder top. It's very shameful.
I liked your statement earrings.
God. Wait, I had so many statements. It was all so bad. And I'll be fair. Like, to be honest, we filmed so many episodes that by the end, I was so exhausted. I did not give a shit what I look like on TV. And it's very obvious. I was just like, whatever. These earrings look fine.
It's going up in a ponytail.
Yeah.
Do you still have all those earrings? Like, you should do something with them for your listeners.
Oh my God, that's funny. I have a lot of it. I do.
God.
I should do something.
You should. You should do like giveaways or something. It's hysterical. Like,
I have a lot of the really ugly clothes. I could give away. Who wants that though?
Funny.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
I digress.
I should do something with the earrings because Lord knows I have enough of them. Statement earrings.
Statement earrings, like the early millennia. Around there, mid millennia. Like we were really into those, and I think that you could. Yes,
there was a lot of faux fur and statement earrings and big hair. God. Okay, so yes, achieving balance, not being Christi circa statement earrings 2011.
Right. And I feel like, when you're like, when you need something, you can kind of feel like, I don't know, I'm not connecting or this job isn't doing it for me anymore or whatever. And I noticed that, like, let's say I don't know, like you don't like your job, but you feel like you really can't, and this is all subconscious, and you feel like you really can't do anything about that, then you'll start attacking the easier things, like maybe a relationship that you're in, and you start ruining that. And you can get self-destructive when you're out of whack or when you're imbalanced, and other things can get sabotaged instead of the one thing that really needs to go. And I note that this is like your soul, you know, your soul contract and what you're supposed to be doing here and your true alignment, and your ego. Your ego is the part of you that just wants to stay the same. So I think just kind of investigating, okay, what are the things that I'm doing that are keeping me in this pattern versus what are the things that I really want to do, but I feel like I can't. And like really, like, why don't I think I can? And when you ask yourself that question, there's a lot of vulnerable stuff that's going to come up.
Oh my God. Yes. Because I was going to actually say to you, like, because you read my aura and we've been talking. So, you know, by doing that, are you able to say, this is what's out of balance by that? Or is it more just intuitive on my behalf?
Like when I look at you and your aura, like right now you feel really good, you know? Okay. And if this was like just me and you, I would go like probably way deeper into probably more family stuff from your past and whatnot, because that's the thing that's really hitting me from spirit. And I think with you, sometimes it's like, whatever, pushing through, pushing forward. I don't have to revisit that to get through the next thing, and I just get sometimes with you, your thing can be, let's move on instead of look back, which is a good thing. But sometimes you have to do it in a way that's not because you don't want to be angry or you don't want to be this or you don't want to be that, but that's not why you're looking back. You're looking back to what did I miss, or like what can I reflect on, or whatever. Yeah, that's what I would probably say is what you're kind of going to be working on a lot in the next few months, especially like with this podcast, as you stretch yourself creatively and that purple's coming through and you're like, oh, what's this? I need to do this, or I'm getting inspired and all this stuff. All sorts of stuff's going to come up to the surface.
Oh,
and you're going to be like, whoa. Yeah. Because you're finally in a place where you're like, okay, let's do it. Screw it.
All right. Oh, God, this is going to be such a fun journey for everybody but me. For me, I'm going to be like crying in the corner. Like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Because, you know, we need somebody to go through it so we can go through it too. Like, oh my gosh, you inspired me. You helped me. Now you made me want to do that too. Like, you're brave. I can be brave. It's helpful.
Okay, I'll be brave. And then everybody else has to be brave too. Because there's lots that I don't want to talk about or face, but I'm sure I need to. But I mean, it's true. Like, there is plenty that I can think about that I just sort of ignore and pretend it doesn't exist because it's easier.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Yellow people tend to do that too. It's just kind of like, whatever, it happened, moving on. And that's, it's Survivor. But I think that's how you got through a lot of your life. Like, all right, can't cry about it. Moving on, because you would be crying all day. Nothing would have gotten done.
Right. Or I secretly just cried at night instead of all day.
Oh.
I mean, it's fine. Totally. Like, I mean, we still all cry at night sometimes, don't we? I feel like I
do. Absolutely. Hell yeah.
Oh, God. It's so terrible. Okay. So that's so interesting. And then, so I have a couple other fun questions for you because, so when you're like just walking through, say, Target or, you know, wherever you are, do you just like see people in colors and you're like, oh, that's a good guy. That's bad. Is that really what it's like? So that's crazy.
So because I see them all the time, I've seen them my whole life. It's just like, I don't know life without. It's kind of like if somebody said, what is smelling like?
Sure.
You know, like so you walk through Target, you're smelling the whole time. You don't notice anybody in particular unless they're smelly, you know? So that's how it is with me. Like, I don't notice. I see everyone's aura, but I guess I'll turn it off. But if someone's like a wackadoo aura, oh my God.
Like you pick up on that.
Yeah. And then I like just take the kids and like we move away or something.
Well, that was my next question. Have you ever met anyone or read anyone or been with somebody that's made you uneasy because of like what they're putting out there? So interesting.
Oh my God. Yeah. I've had so many instances of it over the years. The one I can just because I think because I'm on mom mode now. I remember I was at Dunkin' Donuts with the kids and I saw a man, you know, people everywhere because we're in Florida and there's just strip malls everywhere. So we're in a strip mall and there's a man, and he's like, I don't know, like far, 100 feet away. And I'm like, he's bad. He looked like a bad color. I got bad vibes. I didn't like it. All my red flags were going off. And I knew, and there was a voice in my head, like it's my spirit thing where they're like, he's going to talk to Bree, which is my oldest. And he comes over and he takes a quarter out of his pocket.
No.
And he does this like behind the ear shit to
I
her.
knew you were going to say that. And that's like such a creepy old guy move to somebody you don't know.
Yeah.
Like if it's your grandpa, fine. But don't do that if you're a stranger. That's weird.
Yeah. And I didn't like, he wasn't some sweet old guy either. Like there was something off with him.
Ew.
So it's like, that's the kind of stuff where that night I'm laying in bed and I'm like, if I knew it was going to happen, why didn't I trust myself? Why did I put her through that? Why didn't I go to the car immediately? I beat myself up or whatever because I don't want to be rude or,
Right. Don't we live our lives like that? Especially women. We're always like, well, we don't want people to think we're rude. Meanwhile, it's like, get the hell away from my kid or I'm going to knock you out.
That's what I should have been like. But then, so I don't know. I'm getting better at it. I think as I get older and whatnot to be like, listen to your gut and and then the other thing is I don't want my kids to be scared all the time. Like mommy had a feeling and we ran to the car.
Right.
I just want.
Well, and I think society as a whole too, though, where it's starting to be more acceptable that you protect yourselves instead of just being like, oh, we have to be polite. Like you don't always have to be polite. Sometimes like protect yourself and apologize later.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah. I'm working on it.
Well, I think everybody is because I do the same thing. I'm so terrified that people think I'm a bitch, especially I do it because they've watched me on TV where I am a bitch. And then I'm like, I overcompensate. I'm like, no, I'm only a bitch on television. I'm not a bitch in real life. But then sometimes you have to be.
Hi, my name's Christi and I'm not a bitch.
Not all the time.
Like,
just like 20% of the time. Unless you live with me, then there's no guarantees. It depends on my mood.
It's honest, though, It's honest.
For sure. Okay, so that's interesting. But I do understand that you don't want your kids to live in fear. Now, do you think your kids have the gift that you do, or have you not discovered that about them yet?
So my 11-year-old sees auras, too.
I love that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's really cool. A lot of kids do. Like, a lot of kids.
Yes, they're tuned
young.
in. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because I just so many clients will send me, like, I don't know, the kids tell them their aura colors. I love it. Like, because kids can see it and they haven't turned off that ability yet. And it's just so magical. But my 11-year-old does, and she gets messages too. So it's really funny because my single friends will be dating somebody and I'll be like, they send me a picture or whatever, like, do we like this guy? And I'll show Bree. And my Bree is so different than me, though, because I'm, like, nicer about things. My daughter, she's red and purple. That's her aura colors.
Okay.
So she's more like, he's a gold digger, or
oh, my God,
he's a cheater. Like, she just says it.
Amazing. Maybe it's something with the 11-year-old, though, too, seriously.
Okay, maybe. I think yours and mine would get along.
Oh. Well, is yours in 6th grade or is she in 5th grade?
She's in 6th.
Okay. So you're going through the whole 6th grade nonsense too. Like you can't speak to them in the parking lot because somebody might know that you know them. It's
awful.
It is awful. And there's a lot of unspoken rules that you break and violate that you never knew was a rule.
I didn't know that. Like I'm very, I don't even get clothes for her anymore. She has to do it herself.
Well, Clara is going through this sort of grungy kind of band t-shirt situation right now.
Okay.
And I'm like, what? I said, do you know one song the Rolling Stones sings? And she's like, yes. And she'll like name a song and stomp away. And I'm like, okay. So that's my rule.
Like,
you can't, you can't wear the shirt unless you know a song. Sorry.
I think that's admirable. That I agree with that. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah. That's a good one, right? I mean, come on.
I'm stealing it. That's a good one.
You have to know at least one song.
Don't be a poser.
Exactly.
It's a big one.
That's don't be a poser. And I also didn't know, like the one day I was packing her lunch and I sat there and I was like, all you have are, I don't want to say healthy because it's not exactly healthy, but like she didn't have a cookie or, a piece of fruit or anything with anything sweet in it. And I kept saying, do you want a cookie for dessert? Finally, she looked at me and she goes, only the weird girls eat cookies at lunch. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know weird girls ate cookies. Apparently I'm the weirdest of them all because I love a cookie. So there's just
so funny.
Lot of nonsense. So you understand though, like 11 and 6th grade is just odd.
They're just
very
finding
odd.
themselves.
They are.
I read I had to read an article about it because I'm like, does she need therapy or is it hormones? And it's hormones, so we're okay.
Yeah, because it's like they go through a year of PMS almost, a constant year of it. That's exactly how it feels on the receiving end.
It's a lot of rejection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like last year, Clara was nice to me last year, and all of a sudden she's mean. She's always scowling.
I know. Like, yes, the faces. That was part of the article. They said they can't control their own faces. And like, we have to let it go. That was what they said.
That's
some doctor.
Hilarious. They cannot control. You know what? I'm going to use that for an excuse for myself. I just can't control my face today.
Sorry, I can't control it.
I'm having a 6th grade moment. My face is out of control. Oh, yeah, it's weird. Okay, so yeah, I do feel like our 11-year-olds probably would get along.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and I do. You know what's interesting to me is that I remember, so my grandparents were very spiritual in sort of like an unconventional way. And whether you believe in it or not, like they very much believed in reincarnation. And when my kids were little, they would say things like, you still probably remember who you are. And they would kind of like try to remember, like, who are you? Where did you live before? You know, and they talked about that very freely. And it wasn't odd or scary or creepy. It was just part of like my life growing up. So I always think about that, you know, because they are open and remember things, or, you know, they'll say things that there's like, they had no way of knowing that. How did they know?
Yes.
And they somehow just know.
I hear stories like that all the time. And like when I do readings, and I think we all kind of had, like, there's different sorts of connections, like a soulmate connection or a kindred spirit connection. You can tell when you have a past life connection with somebody because it feels like you already know them.
Okay.
And it's just very, very comfortable. And usually those are past life connections.
Okay.
And I get so many stories from people who, like, their kids say these things, and it's just like absolutely ridiculous. There's no way their 4-year-old would know any of this stuff. And I think, you know, when your kid is just having an imagination moment or they're actually telling you something.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And I myself have had like past life regressions and stuff like that. And I know other people have had those too, like where you have memories from past lives. And I totally believe it. But then it's funny because like green people who are a little bit more naturally skeptical, like they'll say things like, well... they always have a point. Like, if there's reincarnation and there's more people than there were, like, you know, I don't know, 400 years ago, how does that match up mathematically? You know, they say stuff like that.
God. Yeah, that sounds like my husband. And you said he's a green, so I totally get it. And then my children and I are like, it just makes sense. Like, maybe they were a rock before, and now they're a human.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Totally. Hello.
Yeah. Like, that's my kids and I. Like, we would think that my husband would be like, well, I wasn't a spider or whatever, you know?
Yeah, or everyone was Cleopatra or something. Yeah, it's true.
Totally. Okay, so a couple other little things I'll ask you, and then I'll let you go because I have hogged all your time, and I'm sure that you have things to do.
Here.
Well, you're so sweet. Okay, so I have a lot of reality TV fans that listen, obviously, and one thing that we all love to talk about, because I live story it each week, just because I feel like I have a little intel just being from the reality show background, but I always do The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. So let's just, for a quick minute, can you tell us if Tayshia is really there for the right reasons?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Tayshia is purple and red.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
So we talked about purple. Red people are very authoritarian, very take charge.
Okay.
They often do pick, except for Claire. Okay, that's a whole other story.
Is Claire like red?
Claire is pink. Pink people, that's another rare color.
Okay.
Pink people are like perpetual children. So like
Oh my
Britney Spears
God.
is pink.
She is such a perpetual child. I kept saying they were so leaning into her being the oldest bachelorette. And I said, she's so immature.
Yes. They picked the oldest bachelorette, but she's pink. So she's going to act like 16
She acted like a baby. And I couldn't get past that. And I think that's why a lot of people had such a negative reaction to her, because it was
I felt bad for her.
I did too. But I mean, I also thought that she was kind of feeding into that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because they're like, she's like a child in a lot of ways. So it was like, okay, like she's always crying or there's always something going on. And it's like
very dramatic, but like not.
Yeah. And now she's trying to control the narrative a lot now that it's over and things like that.
Like a petulant child.
Yeah. like, that's not how it went. This is how it went, or this or that. She can't, I'm sure they have like gag orders. Like they can't say things.
I think it's
she's,
for
like,
a year.
To.
Yeah. I think they can't talk for a year, I think.
As soon as she can, she's going to be like, this is my side of the story. Like,
yep.
It's going to be great. But Tayshia's red. So being red, and they often usually do pick red bachelorettes because it's like women who can say things like straight out and have logic and like not be as emotional or whatever.
And the roses are red.
Yes, that too. Just like the rose.
Yeah, they're red like the rose.
And I feel like she tries to be a little bit softer than she actually is.
Okay.
So I get that from her. And I feel like they threw her into this. And she was like, hell yeah. Like, who wouldn't say, yeah, I'll take the Like, who wouldn't say that? Like,
yeah,
obviously.
Of course.
And they're like, hey, can you just be our bachelorette real quick? And she was like, cool. And that's why doesn't the chemistry feel all off with everybody?
Yeah,
the whole thing feels weird.
It does. I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think she'll end up engaged at the end of this. Like, she might like someone and be with them, but she's also, like, she's been divorced, which she talks about. So she's probably a little bit more, I feel like some of them have been, engaged 12 times on different intonations of The Bachelor. They're like, oh, I got engaged in Paradise. I got engaged here. Where I think for her, she might be a little bit more like, okay, like this is real. Okay, interesting. Yeah. So most of them are red. I'll keep that in mind. Yeah. So the last thing I need to ask you before we kind of wrap it up is I sort of have this weird, as I think most people in the country right now have a weird obsession with true crime. But to be fair, I've been sort of obsessed with true crime for a very long time, like as a child. Like I remember those, the mini series that would come on, like Blind Faith with Joanna Kearns, and what was the one about Jeffrey McDonald? I can't remember what it was called, but like, was it Jeffrey McDonald who killed his wife? All of those things. But
oh God, yeah.
So the person who is probably, I call him my serial killer boyfriend, but I don't mean it in the literal way. I mean because he's the most terrifying of them all to me, and it's who I'm the most scared of. And I'm asking because like we're talking about goals and achieving balance and how to do those things in your life, but really, how does a serial killer really, like, how does their goal become so skewed? But the person I'm going to ask about, and anybody who knows me knows I'm going to ask this, but it's Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy.
Have you ever looked at him before?
Yeah. So
have
whenever,
you? Okay.
I have.
Okay.
So we just talked about greens a little bit. Mm-hmm. All serial killers tend to be green. Now, it doesn't
oh my God, I'm married to a serial killer. I knew it. I knew it.
So you have a type. No, I'm just kidding.
I do have a type. Oh my God, Ted Bundy's my serial killer boyfriend and I'm married to a green. Okay, if I ever show up missing,
like
Mark did it. Mark did it. It's always the husband. Always.
So now here's the thing. Colors don't make people bad. Intentions make people bad.
Okay, fair.
So what I think the reason why serial killers get attention, because like red, every other color kills too. Like red people kill, but when they kill, it's just kind of like, I don't know, they caught their girlfriend in bed with some other guy and they just like lose it and kill somebody. First, whatever. I don't think that terrifies us as much because what green people do in life is they're planners. They like to plan, just normal green people, they're planners. They they have their tools and everything's particular and this is how you iron a shirt or this is what the car looks like. Don't eat in the car and don't do this and this.
Oh God, that's so my life with my husband. Oh, yeah. I have to put vacuum marks in the line or in the carpets. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, they're real crazy about little tiny details, like meticulous. So when they end up, a green person ends up being a killer, they're meticulous. And I think that freaks us out. It's just something weird about killing and then being so freaking methodical about it.
Yeah.
And planning it. And probably the way a green person might plan a vacation or plan how they're going to build the deck or something. Like that's how they're planning killing somebody and like, doing something with the body. And that freaks us out. It's weird.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Oh
so that, and then also he had a real effed up childhood, didn't he? Because it's definitely,
he did. And so that's
real. It's like a smoothie. It's like a fucked up smoothie. Like all of it.
Fucked up smoothie. Okay. Yeah. I mean, look.
With green.
So he's just primarily green, no other colors in there, but he's very methodical. Like a lot of his stuff was very, like he had a type, obviously.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
You know, he's what I would call chameleon green, which is like a type of green where they blend. So, you know, he could fit in any, he doesn't know who he is, so he can be everybody.
Yes. And that is, I mean, again, I'm very well versed in Ted Bundy. Like he fit in everywhere. So that's crazy. And nobody would have ever suspected him. He was the boy next door. Like he blended in on college campuses.
He blended in.
Oh, that's so
But
scary.
I would have known he was creepy, and you would have too. Because you can feel that creepy like, sketch vibe. Yeah.
Sure,
it's like sketchy or creepy, or they say all the right things. It's like, there's something to be said with people who have a little bit of flaw. Like, it's all right. At least if they're, you know, like somebody too perfect, you got to be careful.
Right. Because they're a robot and they're just emulating what you think human behavior is. They're not really human. I heard something once, and I don't know how true this is, but I heard something once about sociopaths that, you know how like yawns are contagious. If you yawn, somebody else will yawn in the room. I've heard that sociopaths aren't able to do that because they don't reflect other people's emotions or whatever. They miss that connection. I don't know how true that is, but yeah, isn't that crazy? Like, so if I yawned and Ted was in the room, he wouldn't have yawned. But like, now I'm going to go yawn in front of Mark and see if he yawns.
And just make sure.
I'm going to make sure.
That's a good test for us all today.
Everybody yawn in front of your boyfriend, husband, sister, significant other.
Just be sure.
Just to be sure. That's the good test. That's like the litmus test of who can be trusted, the yawn.
You just saved a lot of people today.
I did. I'm here. I'm a giver. I'm a giver. I'm here to protect. Well, I mean, this whole podcast is about how to prepare ourselves and like, you know, take on life's journeys and learn and be better versions. Now we know how to detect serial killers and sociopaths in our lives. So I'm here to serve. I'm here for the people.
There you go. That's a great first episode. That's important stuff. Yeah.
Well, I could talk to you literally all day. You're so endearing and just so fun and knowledgeable. And like I said, I am just fascinated by you. And you're welcome back anytime. But please tell everyone where they can find you again. And I'm going to share you on all of my socials because I think everyone in the world should just know a little bit about themselves, because I really do think it's important to like figure those things out so that you can achieve balance. Because if you're miserable, then what is all of this worth?
Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much, Christi. Yeah, you can find me at Mystic Michaela on Instagram, and my podcast is Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela.
Love it. Okay, well, someday we'll get those sixth graders together and they can plot how much they hate their mothers together.
I can't wait. Yeah. It'll be so cute.
They can read each other's auras. I feel like Clara probably can read auras. She just hasn't told me yet. I mean, something crazy is going on with her.
Introduce her to it. She'll be reading everybody.
I know. I would. She would probably look at me and be like, "I've been doing that since I was born. Don't you know? You know, because that's who she is as a human."
Love it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again so much. And I can't wait to hear what you do next.
Thank you, Christi.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Take care.
Well, that was so fun. Oh my God. I could have talked to her forever. And I could have totally asked about every serial killer that's ever killed, because I'm obviously obsessed and I want to know what everyone's aura looks like. But this is now my favorite part of the podcast. And that is when you have an opportunity to ask your questions. And hopefully I can give you a little bit of insight, maybe help, give you my opinion, and guide you down the right path. Because isn't that what a mother does? I mean, or that's what a good therapist does. So get comfy on my couch, because I have a few questions to answer. And if you have a question, you can totally write in. Just DM me on @Christi's Couch at Instagram. And if you get picked, I will happily answer your question and, I don't know, give you some life-changing advice, right? Okay, so I have two today. And the first one comes from MH. And she says, okay, so this is a juicy one. Last summer, when life was still fun, I went out with my best friend for her 21st birthday, and my ex-boyfriend, let's call him Matt. All right, we'll call him Matt, was our DD because the two of them are really good friends. Okay, first of all, I have questions. I felt super awkward when Matt was around, and then when he went to the bathroom, I had a guy come up to me, and we got to talking. Long story short, we exchanged numbers, and lo and behold, Matt saw the whole thing go down and he was pissed. Okay, side note, not a shocker. I mean, I could have called that. Okay, so when this new boy texted me the next day, my best friend seemed a little off, so I kept the fact that him and I were talking all summer kind of a secret because she didn't seem to support it. I finally told her about it, and she went and told Matt everything because she felt like he should know, even though I still felt like it was none of his business. I ended things with him because he wanted to go into the military, and I knew I couldn't handle not only that, but the new boy was already in the military. Hey, you can only control some things, and I know I'm not a fan of being in it, and I told him, so whatever. I got a novel from Matt in text form a few weeks later, basically telling me how I ruined his life and I messed him up. Everything he didn't like about himself, he blamed on me. And they were issues long before I came into the picture. All right, Matt. So my best friend still isn't a fan of the boy I met that night at the bar. She literally calls him guy from the bar. And I don't know what to do because I really like him. He and I have this connection I've never had with any other guy, but I don't want there to be issues between him and my best friend. What should I do? Okay, MH, I'm going to tell you right now. First of all, your best friend is a little too invested in your relationship with you and Matt because why is she so gung-ho on telling Matt everything that's going down? Isn't she your BFF to begin with? And if she was your BFF, she would completely support the fact that you just said that you have a connection with the guy at the bar that you've never had before with anyone else. And if she was your BFF, truly, she would know that and she would support that. So it sounds like to me you have a little house cleaning to do. And as far as Matt goes, the whole fact that he blamed a lot of things on you means that A, he's insecure, B, he's trying to like pass the buck and totally blame you for things and have you take responsibility from it. And C, it just... Wait, did I say A, B, and C? I can't remember if I said A, B, and C or 1, 2, and 3. Whatever. But really, it just goes to show that you made the right choice of leaving him because you broke up with him. You have no responsibility or no obligation to tell your best friend or Matt what's going down in your real life because it sounds like to me that your BFF might be trying to like ingratiate herself with Matt just to get him on her side. And that is a toxic / red flag situation from the get. So I'm going to say maybe reevaluate the situation with the bestie because maybe that's not a good situation. And you need to tell Matt to stay in his, I don't know, stay in his room, stay in his corner, stay in his lane, stay whatever, stay out of your freaking life because he sounds toxic. You broke up with him. You don't know anybody, anything. So move on. Enjoy the new boy. Don't worry that he's in the military. Like he can't get out of the military just because you don't like it. But if he's worth it, it'll work out. So yeah, I love this question. I think it's fun and great. And I mean, happy 21st, right? I hope you didn't do 21 shots because those are always bad choices, at least when I was concerned. All right. So I have another question, and this one's a little bit more specific to the time of year. And it says, Dear Christi, help. I'm going home for the holidays with my boyfriend and I have all the questions. They have a big Christmas Eve party with appetizers and such, so I have no idea what to bring. I would usually bring food, but I don't want to intrude or mess up the food aesthetic. I appreciate a girl who appreciates a food aesthetic. I'm just saying. I don't want to show up empty-handed. Good choice. But don't want to be too over the top, which I tend to be. And I do bring gifts for his family, or is that too much? At Thanksgiving, there were many awkward moments where politics and controversial stuff was brought up, and I just played the oblivious card and acted like I heard nothing. But since this will be a multiple-day event, I'm afraid I'll get cornered about stuff and have no idea what to say because his sisters have very differing views from me. I want to be friends with them, but don't want but don't want to go against my own views. Help is so much needed. Sincerely, High Strung for the holidays. Okay, High Strung, you have a lot of multi-level questions. I feel like I'm in a pyramid scheme. So let me start at the top. Okay, so the big Christmas Eve party. I appreciate it. I totally think that you should absolutely bring a hostess gift. And I get that you don't want to bring or mess up the food aesthetic. And I really think that's really sweet and cute. And I appreciate a girl that knows that there could be a food aesthetic. So word up. Do people still say word up? I'm certainly don't. But anyway, so that was my 1990 $19.90, like nod to MC Hammer, so ignore me. But anyway, so for the food aesthetic, I mean, for a hostess gift, a great bottle of champagne is always appreciated. And don't worry about there not being enough to serve the host or serve the crowd, because the hostess might keep that for herself. But you could always lean towards like a rabbit wine opener or one of those electronic ones. Or there's the international food gift basket. That's fun. There could be like a cracker from Switzerland or cheese from Ireland. But I get that you don't want to mess up the food aesthetic. So you could even err on the side of bringing like the actual charcuterie board. And you can find those. They could range in price from like $30 all the way up to $200. But I actually found mine on Etsy, and I think it was in the, I want to say the $90 range, but it's huge. It's humongous. And that could be cute. So think about that. Like, could you bring the charcuterie board? And then next time they're hosting, they could use it. And then you could be like, oh my God, High Strung gave me the cutest charcuterie board, and let's eat crackers and honeycomb from it, or something like that. So I would not bring gifts for his whole family. I do think that's too much because, first of all, what happens if somebody shows up that you weren't expecting and then you're awkward because that's the one person you didn't give a gift for? So let's just err on the side of caution and not do that. And okay, so here's the biggie. At Thanksgiving, there are many awkward moments where politics and controversial stuff is brought up. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. You are obviously new to this mix. And so I think totally just being quiet and listening is perfectly acceptable. And then if you're standing with the sisters and they're talking about such things, again, I don't think as a newbie that it is your position or responsibility to like chime in and give them your opinion. And I completely understand that you don't want to be, go against your views or be a fraud. But sometimes it's okay just to listen. And if you are cornered and you have to give an actual opinion, I would preface it by deflating the situation. Say, you know, like in my opinion, or I know this might not be popular, but I think, because anytime you preface those things and you use those phrases, you take away the ammunition that they can use, that they could say like, oh God, she's terrible because she said this, because it's your opinion and nobody can argue with your opinion. So love that. Okay, so I think we have made it to the end of the first episode of Christi's Couch. I hope it was kind of fun. I'm totally nervous. I think next week, maybe I'll get more into the swing of things. Maybe I'll have a glass of wine. I don't know. But if you really love this, please make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe, because that would really help a girl out. And please drop into my Facebook group, drop onto my Instagram page at Christi's Couch. DM me, leave a message, let me know if you have a question, and maybe I will pick your question and answer it next week, because honestly, I feel like this is my calling in life, is to, I don't know, let's just say present my opinion and my guidance to the youth of the world. I don't know, something like that. Either that or just be a big, fat, funny nightmare. I don't know, whatever it is. But thank you for hanging out in the first episode of Christi's Couch. I hope you had as much fun as me, and I can't wait to see you next week. All right, peace. Did I really just say peace? Okay, back it up. Let's just say bye. Okay, have a great week. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Did you know that everyone has an aura? Do you know what color your aura is? Maybe you have a fiery red personality or a quiet and calm blue or green. You could be an organized and methodical yellow or an explosive purple. Come join me, Mystic Michaela, on my podcast, Know Your Aura, to find out all about how your personality can be explained in colors.